Offseason mistakes the 49ers cannot afford. Every offseason is crucial, but for a team looking to rebound, such as the Niners, certain mistakes could prove catastrophic. Whether it's mishandling contracts, botching the draft and certain picks, overreaching in certain aspects, or neglecting positional needs, the 49ers have no margin for error. What should they prioritize to ensure success? What did you see last year, Grant, coming into the season, particularly over the offseason, that was a clear no-no, where it's like, this is a red flag and the Niners will not have success this season because of this?
Well, in retrospect, like, there's that old adage, you're either getting better or you're getting worse. You never stay the same. And the Niners tried so hard to tread water last offseason. They started off by getting rid of Armstead, who, sure, he's getting older and breaking down, but he was so important to them in the past. And you try to replace that impact with, marginal players for cheap, 1-2 year deals, guys other teams don't really want. And I think we asked about, they made these moves, and you go to the owners' meetings and you ask Kyle, like, so that's it? Like, that's the best you got? And he's like, whoa. I mean, we were just in the playoffs. I mean, we were just in the Super Bowl. It's really hard for us to get better. We're just trying to not get worse. And we're pretty sure we didn't get worse. It's like, no. You're either getting better or you're getting worse. And if you're telling us you didn't get better, then you got worse. And they got significantly worse. And so the strategy of, like, let's just maintain what we have and sort of fill in around the edges with journeymen, I don't think that worked. I don't think they should do that anymore. And I know that they're not one player away, but they also are losing impact players. They used to have 9. Now that it's like, I think 3 or 4. They need to bring in someone really good. And he can't be like, well, we got him for 2 years. Like, no, this should be a 3-4 year contract to someone that a lot of teams want, and you got him. And I don't know if they have the cap space for it, but they got to figure it out. Otherwise, they're going to be mediocre at best next year.
Yeah. And I agree. And free agency is something where, when it gets to the money, for me, I'm always torn because I'm always player first, like in that if a guy deserves his money, he should get paid. There's a short amount of time that these guys have to make this amount of money, and the teams make tons of it. So, but then at the same time, I also look at the cap and how things lay on the cap, and sometimes things just aren't smart to do if you want to be a winning organization. And there's an algorithm to doing things a certain way fiscally. For me, it's camp. They cannot have the same camp that they had last season. It's just a couple of things. So let's get into it. Number one, they didn't necessarily have a full boat as far as linemen were concerned going into camp. And that's something that they have to prioritize on both sides of the ball. Case in point, on the first day of pads, they didn't even have enough offensive linemen to run one-on-ones for a certain indie period. They couldn't even get through team periods at times because the defensive line seemingly had what would be starters and their first and second string guys who were going through camp, and we couldn't even field an offensive line enough to get Brock a look. So we weren't really seeing a lot of work from the pass rush or the defensive line, and we wouldn't even have known anything about that had we had more people in for camp. They just didn't prioritize it. And I'm not talking about necessarily going first round, swinging big for the fences. No, dude, go out and get some veterans. Be first in line to go pick up some veteran guys that can get you through a strong camp and some guys that you can have to be able to get you through a season. Also, they need to also have joint practices. I don't know what is going on as far as the injuries are concerned, but we missed joint practices this camp. We were supposed to have joint practices with the Saints, I believe, and we skipped those practices. That's another misnomer, that it's more of a gauntlet, and it's almost kind of like a barometer throughout camp to let you know you're going in the right direction. They need to have joint practices this year. The energy at camp, actually finishing certain periods. I didn't like the energy of certain guys. Also, dude, they have got to emphasize special team periods during camp. Like, Grant, if there has ever been a foregone conclusion during camp, it is those damn special teams periods. That is like the water break of camp. Am I not lying, bro?
Sure.
Where Special teams periods comes up and it's like, all right, we can get a water. I can kind of get a new notepad, kind of talk a little bit, bullshit to the guy next to me because they're just kicking the ball and they're just running around doing a little bit of the kickoff, a little bit of punt return. Everybody else is kind of getting watered up, getting ready for the last team period, or they either do special teams at the very end of practice where nobody's really involved, nobody cares, and they're just walking off. And we look like it. Throughout the entire season, they did not prioritize special teams. So those are my biggest things. And then also, just to kind of piggyback off of you talking about free agency and getting these guys signed, I think now, after the offseason that we had, if they don't understand how important it is to have everybody in the building for the start of camp, I don't know what else.
Like if you don't, then it just sets the tone for everyone who is there. Like this isn't really important. Like, because our most important players don't have to come and they have their reasons, and you guys are here because you're not quite as good as them, but like, this doesn't matter. It's just the whole wrong tone. I'm totally with you on that. Like that was one of the biggest, you just made your training camp like vacation. That's essentially the tone you set. So you can't do that anymore. I just want to reiterate real quick. So the Niners could, go out and sign a bunch of nobodies while the Rams are probably going to target T. Higgins. And they're already better than the Niners. And then the Cardinals I don't know that Niners know this, or Niner fans know this because no one knows about the Cardinals, but they have more than $70 million in cap space. And they're going to have Kyler for another year. And they don't know what to do. And they're going to probably go and sign like an edge rusher or a few players. So, stand pat, tread water at your own peril. You got to find a way to get better. And it's not just for the second season in a row, year in a row, giving all your money to your own players. It's not good enough.
I mean, for context, the Commanders have $96 million in cap space with a rookie quarterback.
Yeah.
And they're in the NFC Championship game.
Yeah.
They got money to blow.
Well, how are you going to make up that ground? By re-signing Dre Greenlaw? That's it? I don't think so. Sorry, Dre.
And don't look now, but the Commanders could offer Dre Greenlaw a 3-year deal and say, hey, man, we believe in you. We know what you are.
Correct.
Come over here. Correct. You know what I mean? And that's a much better. That's a much.
Obviously, they need to draft a lot better because they need guys on rookie deals. But still, I think they need to. If you're gonna get into the free agent market, don't sign 4 guys who make no impact and come back and tell your friends that you got a good deal at Goodwill. Like, go get a player who's actually going to make an impact and be in a Pro Bowl, be an all-pro player. You know what I'm
saying? You got a good deal at Goodwill. That's a bar. You got a good deal at Goodwill. Let's get a super chat out the way. Sean Shepard, $10. Thank you. Grant, your quality control is slipping. Brandon Staley is our new DC. Wow, we are done. We are just watching Kyle turn into Gollum. His precious is his system. Brandon Staley, the new doormat. Hey, we'll talk about that pretty soon. Hopefully that's not the new normal, because that would be bleak.
I still think the Niners are going to get Salah. I think the Niners are going to get Salah. That's my prediction.
Yeah, I believe that they're close to it, especially with the money involved. It's like he doesn't. One of the things that I saw from Coach Saleh is that all of that like personality stuff, where he's really personable and likes to have leads with compassion. That stuff wears out when you're losing. You know what I'm saying? And it's tough and it wears on you. And also, he visibly looked exhausted.
Yeah,
we just said he looked exhausted. So we'll go there.